is waiting for his talk now and lecture. And I have a pleasure to invite Jannik Henriks, is a head of intelligent automation at KPMG's Lighthouse team in Switzerland. He originally comes from Copenhagen, where he got his degree in business, economics, and IT management. At KPMG, he pursues his passion, applying advanced technologies such as robotic process automation, machine learning, and jet voice bots in practice. Jannik focused on the business and strategic opportunities of advanced technologies and realizing the true potential of digital labor for KPMG's clients. Very warm welcome, Jannik. It's your stage. Thank you that you are here.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, really well.
Great. So I will share my screen. So I just wanted to say sorry about that. I hope the sound is okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that to the previous presenter that maybe we should meet up. I used to live in Seoul and had the pleasure of doing quite a lot of Taekwondo in Korea, the birthplace of Taekwondo. So that's always a good way to meet new people is in these interesting conferences like this. So thank you for joining today. My name, as was mentioned by Tino, is Jannik Henriks. Maybe I should have Tino join me to more client meetings to give a nice presentation of me. That's always a good way to start. But I lead the Intelligent Automation Initiative across KPMG in Switzerland. What this means is that I support all the functions of KPMG, which is consulting in deal advisory, management consulting, tax and audit, to try to not only innovate our own solutions, but also supporting our clients with innovating their solutions within the realm of automation across simple automation with robotic process automation, more advanced with machine learning and chatbots, and also an underlying and overlaying solutions such as low code. I'm really happy to get the chance today to provide a bit of a view on how KPMG sees technology as an important driver in these testing times. I think, as was mentioned earlier by some of the other presenters, this is really, it's an interesting time we're in right now. And I want to try to give some perspectives on how technology can not only support it, but also can support to drive it forward, not only during Corona and COVID-19, the situation we're in, but also looking ahead. And many businesses across a vast range of industries and sectors are slowly reopening, or at least planning to open in some capacity, and are working very heavily to reopen the operations as much as possible, while continuing to have a strong focus on the health and the safety of the employees, of the customers, and of course all the other stakeholders in their value chain. And as companies are building these solutions to basically achieve this operation, I think it's important that we look at what are the limitations of Corona, as was mentioning the remote work, and I will touch upon that also. And also I'll try to give some insights into how do you leverage the opportunity of Corona, because it is an opportunity also to think more digitally, to be forced to think more digitally, as was also mentioned in the earlier presentations. So the good news is that by thinking forward, this will allow organizations to design and build solutions that can be more than just a sort of a point-in-time solution. It can also deliver benefits long after COVID-19 is under control, including improvements in stakeholders' health, safety, and overall engagement in the enhanced business sustainability. So it's only when we take technology and employ it in concert with a cohesive strategy that we can fully deliver on the promise of sustainable business in the future. And this isn't, it isn't super easy, and especially not for large corporations and institutions who are looking to bring thousands of people back to work offices or coordinating the work of thousands of people. So reopening responsibly really involves having a clear plan around the policies, around the frameworks, around the protocols, and having digital tools to effectively manage and support support and mitigate the risks as much as possible in order to respond quickly and effectively to the business challenges right now during Corona. For example, when we do reopen, what happens if there is a new case of Corona in the workforce, but also afterwards. And then just sort of finishing up the long introduction is really that how KPMG helps organizations across all kinds of industries to navigate this uncertainty and to prepare them for what's coming ahead by leveraging technologies such as low code, which I will try to focus a bit on today, and to show how this impacts the business models and the organizational change that actually helps to deliver that value. So our approach really centers around not leveraging technology for the sake of technology, but it's really about using technology to drive the value in the enterprise, enabling growth and ensuring a stronger operations and thereby also a greater resilience in the future. So I didn't bring a lot of slides with me today because I didn't want to sort of go through a ton of slides and rush through them. But I brought one important slide here today, which really covers the 6 areas that we in KPMG have identified as being some of the key focus areas to sustainably reopening your business. The first one is around creating the flexibility for long-term remote engagement. So enabling employees with the tools to work effectively, including the right hardware and the right applications to have ready access to the data that they require, to the systems that they require. And I think this collaboration is a great theme to focus on, and also from what I heard before, really creating that purpose. The second piece is around enabling reliable and accurate data collection to make better decisions going forward. So it's really around employees needing access to high value and reliable streams of internal and external data. And it's really about organizations thinking about how data relating to their supply chain, to their customer transactions, to their inventory levels might be useful going forward. The third piece here is around making employees, customers, and stakeholders feel safe with the data, with the way that we are interacting today. So it's taking a user-centric approach to understanding stakeholders' needs and develop a well-orchestrated multi-channel solution that considers the employees, but also the environment in which the organization sits. The fourth piece is around ensuring a robust risk and compliance, data protection, and privacy perspective. This is not always the most sexy thing to talk about, but really considering the way that we are working today in remote locations, transferring a lot of data, this is really one of the key cornerstones of having a sustainable business going forward. So it's really around understanding the employees' willingness to share their personal data, and at the same time, the need to rigorously safeguard this data by taking a privacy-centric approach to the employees and to the data that you have. The fifth element is around really leveraging the technology. So it's around creating consistent and automated workflows and integrations. So it's really a key to ensure integrations and workflows that are consistent and automated or augmented as possible. So it's really around pushing the limit of what you can automate or augment using technologies to support your employees. And really one way to minimize the complexity and the amount of manual processes is focusing on how you can use development, for example, in local platforms, to rapidly produce new applications that before would have been very challenging to create. And the sixth piece is really around preparing for the future resilience. So how do you leverage this world we're in right now in a way to build the agility, to build the adaptability and the scale for opening up? So it's really important that the consolidation of these, let's say the first five, really come into the last one as the foundation, as the structure to ensure that future sustainability. So what I want to do is just dive into a few examples and provide a bit of context to these six areas. So in the first one here around creating the flexibility, it's really around sort of driven out of the necessity today. Employees have shown that it is possible to engage and be productive remotely. So this has been done largely through video conferencing like Zoom. I believe they've had some great couple of months here, Microsoft Teams, Skype, and so on. And it's really around how do we leverage these tools. So for example, a medical office, one of our clients is using telemedicine to see and advise their clients or their patients remotely. And for some situations, this is actually very appropriate. So what we're trying to help them with is to create that foundation for a post-COVID situation where we can continue to support them, or to continue the medical office to support their patients remotely. So with the right technologies and business insights, employees can retain the flexibility and choose when and if they should return to the physical workplace. So I really think that in the future, leveraging the learnings that we have from the remote working today is a great opportunity for us to sustainably create a more flexible working environment in the future. So it's really around equipping the employees with the right tools, the right hardware, and the right collaboration applications for messaging, for meetings, for task management, for brainstorming, for them to really engage them and empower them in the future. In the second piece, because as we then grow the collaboration, we need to also start looking at the reliability and the accuracy of the data. So managing the reopening of businesses and the continued operation of businesses really involves a very large stream of new decision making. So there are a lot of questions that we need to ask ourselves as we reopen. Should we open one given location versus another? Should we allow employees to travel into our own facilities, or in my case, to the client's facilities? Do we need to manage specific countries, hotspots more closely, and really understand, how do we anticipate and understand the problems that we are facing today? So to secure the information and the insights, we really need to focus on making fast and smart decisions. And this is very easy to say, but it's very difficult to do. So how do we actually do that? And that's really helping business leaders to have access to real-time data and the analytical horsepower to make sense of it, because you don't actually have insights because you have data. You need to make sense of this data. So what we are seeing is that internally organizations are starting to leverage this data to a higher degree. So this could be understanding, as I mentioned earlier, more data points on their supply chain and on their transactions and inventory levels, but also actually leveraging external data. So the external data could be, for example, in the current state, the case rates of COVID-19, the hospital bed utilization, the testing capacity, and other signals from, for example, social media, looking into travel patterns, looking into crime rates, mortgages, and so on, to really tie this data together. Because by drawing on this broad array of internal and external data, organizations will be able to develop a much stronger risk scores and analytical models for employees and or to facilitate, employees in making much stronger and more accurate decisions as we move forward. And now that I mentioned internal data from organizations, of course, the first thing that pops into most of our minds is really around the ability to make the people whose data it is feel that this is being done in a responsible way. So the people being asked to come to the office or to do specific work pieces that are not remote or not at home, for example, they need to be confident that their health and wellness is a top priority. And one of the ways that they try to rely on that is really from trusted sources. This could be WHO here in Switzerland. It could be BAG, and really for companies to show that they are not only listening, but they are also adhering to the rules that these organizations are creating. So to get the message out that these things are being done or are being followed, organizations need to have a user-centric approach or an employee-centric approach to understand what those people's needs are, and then from there develop well-orchestrated solutions across a multitude of channels to reach the stakeholders where the stakeholders are. So this could, for an example, be an app where individuals inquire about the status of a given location. It could be an application that provides updates on conditions where they are based on geolocation. And it could also just be rudimentary risk assessments considering the health of that individual. So by knowing the background of the employees, we can also customize that communication to the employees. Now, there is a much larger audience that needs to be informed around the effectiveness of these new safety protocols. So each of the different groups that are interested, this could be, of course, in the organization, the management, but in the public, it could also be different organizations who are looking to understand how many customers are in the shop, how many employees are in a given work location, in order for them to also. So by leveraging data generated through these technology-enabled health and safety apps and solutions, organizations can actually now start to provide a much more transparent reporting to the appropriate audiences. And this creates that stronger level of trust and that sense of feeling safe as an employee. And then when we talk around all of this data, of course, compliance. So how does compliance, data protection, and privacy play into this? Well, as organizations are stepping up their efforts to safeguard the health of their employees and customers, we really need to start introducing very strong procedures. And the individuals whose data is being collected, they want to understand that this data is being used in a good way and in a secure way. So organizations will need to understand the employees' willingness to share the personal data, and will need to really understand and provide safeguards of this data. So actually, KPMG did a recent study to show that a majority of the employees believe that the proof of immunity, or a vaccination, should be required in order to return to the work site. However, or ironically, the same survey actually showed that a very, very low number of employees are willing to share their health data, whether or not they have been vaccinated. So there is a contradiction that needs to be addressed there. So one of the things that we have done as an example to address this is that we build a solution that where the employees can provide their data and actually follow their data and understand where it's being used. And then the interesting thing is that the solution actually de-identifies the collected data for other viewers and encrypts the personal data and personal identity in all of the logging and monitoring activities. So this way, we try to take a privacy-centric approach to provide a comfort to the employees that the ones who are willing to share their data, that this data is being safeguarded or is being safeguarded and will not be abused or misused. And then the fifth one here, which is probably the one closest to my heart, is really around the automation and augmentation and the support to the organization. So given the large volume of complex flow of information, approvals required, notifications that are required to safely restart, scale up the operation once we can reopen, and ensuring that sustainability as we go forward, we really want to ensure that we have strong integrations in our systems, we have strong workflows that are consistent, and automate as much of the manual work as possible, and augment the decisions or the pieces of work that cannot be automated. So one way to minimize this complexity and reduce the manual processing while actually developing applications very rapidly is by building these across low-code platforms. We have a strong partnership with Appian, where we in the US, for example, have supported in Return to Work USA. And this is exactly what we're trying to do to reduce the amount of manual work required in order to empower the organizations and our clients to safely and fast return to work. So the activities where this might be applicable, for example, could be around registration, result notifications, it could be contract tracing management, it could be something as simple as requesting a pass for the campus of the work. It could be around the preparation of events. So it's really around creating processes that are structured and then creating a platform that integrates to the underlying systems at the same time as automates the manual processes that are logic-based, but it then also creates the foundation for humans to make the decisions where the humans are required. So by leveraging these local platforms, it really empowers the organizations, companies to swiftly implement solutions across all channels at the same time. This could be apps for smartphones, tablets, and desktops, of course, while keeping the previously mentioned elements of data security, reliable data transactions, all of this in a very, very safe way and quick way. Then the last one here is really then the summation of it. So the reality is that many organizations will not be able to open their doors and keep them open unless there is a very strong and sound strategy to do so. That involves not only the people, the government, but it also includes the perspective of technology. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for this for the society to reopen, our belief is that organizations must continue to recalibrate what they're doing today and be able to recalibrate on the fly almost and respond to the new circumstances that they're addressed with high speed, with precision, data-driven decision making, and a mindset to actually be willing to make those changes as necessary, so that the investments that are being done in technology and the future today actually is sustainable as we move forward. So I think with that, I hope I have given some inspiration or at least some food for thought for what are things to consider already today to empower you to sustainably reopen the organizations or your organizations as we move forward. I think there's still a few minutes, so I don't know, Tino, if there is any questions, or if maybe my one slide approach was too simplistic. See if anybody's there.
Thank you so much for this great lecture at the moment. With one slide, it's really great. It's the best solution, I think, because yeah, one slide, you can talk a lot about that. Thank you, Henrik, for that. Now we have oh, there is a question yet. Just a second, please. So, yeah. You mentioned that technology only works well if combined with a strategic consulting approach. KPMG is not known as a technology safe. Moment, I need my glasses. That's better. It's a small.
Yeah, I can also read it here, Tino. I found the button here. So it's a really good question. I think that I don't think that it only works with a sort of a strategy consulting approach, and I think my point is that technology needs to go hand in hand with business needs and business sustainability going forward. So it's really, for me, it's about combining the power of technology and the IT capabilities with the business requirements that we have. Now, KPMG is not known as a technology savvy consultant. This it hurts a little bit when I see and when I hear this, because I really wish to employ that this is not true. We are pushing very large technology solutions in the market, and I would be very, very happy. My contacts, I don't know if they can be shared afterwards, but otherwise please find me on LinkedIn. Very happy to provide an insight on how KPMG is really having a business-driven IT focus. So as I said, it's not technology for the sake of technology. It's really technology to respond to business needs, to compliance needs, and to a sustainable business as we go forward. So this is covering everything from SAP implementations and support there to, as I mentioned, low-code development, actually even here in Switzerland, and implementations hereof. So I don't know if I hope this inspires you, the anonymous attendee, with the question here. But otherwise, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or send me an email. Very happy to provide some inputs on how we're actually doing today. And as I mentioned, I sit in the KPMG Lighthouse, which is a part of our organization that solely focuses on data-driven technology solutions.
There's one more. You know, it's another question down there. You see that?
Yeah, I see this. So one key problem to introducing return to work application is the unwillingness of people in Switzerland, Germany, and actually I would say in many countries to give away their data. How could this be solved? As I tried to allude to earlier, I think it's really about creating the trust from the organization to their employees, because it's really around showing that the data that is being collected is not being misused. So what we try to address with our clients is really transparency in the way that data is being collected, the way data is being treated, and in which decision points are the data that we are receiving from the employees, for example, where are they being used? And then, as I said, what we also try to do to increase that trust is actually sort of reverse engineer the data in such a way that either encrypting it or creating solutions that removes the personalization of the data to the degree possible where it's still useful. So I know it's really not an easy answer or easy question to answer, I have to say, but it really requires a trust between the companies and the employees.
Yes, so on. Thank you very much, Jannik, for.
Thank you, Tino, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, I hope we will see us again or soon in Switzerland, because we are not so far away.
No, I'm just sitting here in Zurich. All right, have a nice day, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Jannik. Have a good time. Thank you. Bye.